Yes, the sounds of MC Hammer. I can't really say that seriously, like, the sounds of MC Hammer! No. Get to the chopper now. So, this is Wild Radio, this is Blue Please, I am Total Biscuit. And I have, 15 minutes left of the show, for the one and only Octail and Hordak will grace the airwaves with their presence, so stay tuned for that. Yeah. Yeah, indeed. It's very, very difficult to cover the entirety of patch 2.1.0 in one show, which is why I have absolutely no intention of doing so. Like, wonderful content for the next however many weeks. I'll just have to wait and see what Blizzard comes up with next. Now, you'll be aware that, obviously, the last show, since we were doing the interview, we missed out, well, the one and only...
Second Wind!
And in some people's opinion, that was, quite frankly, a sin. So, Second Wind will, of course, make its return this show. I'm looking at my show notes. I do have show notes. I have 4 lines. Yeah? This is my show notes. 1 for each segment. There are 4 segments in my show, and it's like, here it is. I'll just read you my show notes, just for the sake of it. Show note number 1, topics, letter from Palehoof. Show note number 2, strat discussion, pulling specific points about raid progression not being up to scratch, nerf to raiding, a bridge too far, or simply floodgate scenario. Number 3, casuals need to stop crying now, seriously, you can't have everything. Number 4, Second Wind, patch 2.1.0, the maker or the breaker. So yeah, anyone that thinks that I write all this stuff down, do heavy research and stuff, no, that is my show. In 4 lines. Anyway, so 2.1.0, is it the maker or is it the breaker? I was having this discussion with Kiki and he was pretty much coming to the same conclusion. This patch is either going to completely ruin the game and send subscriber numbers tumbling by the thousands and the tens and the hundreds of thousands, or it's going to be the one that really brings life back into the game. The question is, which one are you leaning towards and why? That's the Second Wind topic for this week. You email it in right now, or whenever you feel like in the next week, and it will be read out on the next week's show. But there are a couple of people who, of course, got in there a little bit early. I'll be reading their emails a little bit later. Shout-outs coming at the end of the show, so don't send them now. So what's my opinion on this one? Well, difficult topic. I'm doing well on the difficult topics today, aren't I? It is such a huge patch, and we haven't seen, to be quite honest, the extent of how far it's going to go. In my opinion, adding new content is always a good thing, because no matter how bad it is, it's still something you can do. Now, from what I've seen so far, and from what people have told me, for instance, Nobunaga, our one and only, has gone and tried out the Ogre stuff, and apparently there's a big Ogre dance party and all this other cool stuff available. I was like, wow, that's nice, I like that idea. This Ethereum prison sounds really fun as well. Not so keen on the Shajari Skyguard stuff, because it seems like nothing more than a rep grind, but hey, it's there. Nether Drakes, always cool. You can go and get yourself a nice Nether Drake and go and do the quest line for it and all this cool stuff. New content, always a good thing. The Black Temple. We already know it's in there. That is new content in itself. And you might say to me, oh, well, I'll never get there. Well, that's just because you're not trying hard enough. Sorry. I will get there, one way or the other. I don't care how long it bloody takes, but I'm going to get into the Black Temple. It's the same thing I said about Naxxramas. When I wasn't raiding too hardcore, and I was raiding in a very small guild, and I was still basically teaching them how to do Molten Core. I'd already done pretty much all of BWL with a guild ages ago when BWL actually meant something. And I went back into a guild that was struggling on Zul'Gurub over Molten Core, and I ended up raid leading them. And I thought, okay, fair enough. I'm scaling back a bit. But someday I'm going to get into Naxxramas. Probably not with this guild, but someday I'm going to go in there. And lo and behold, yes, been to Naxxramas, done a lot of the content, and how cool was it? Very. Having something up ahead, a point that I made earlier, a point I intend to reiterate. Having something up ahead is one of the most important things there are to keeping your customers happy and paying on a month-by-month basis. The idea that you can go and do this endgame content is so vitally important, in my opinion, to anyone that's reached 70. Because some people, misguided as they may be, say, well, the game ends at 70. No, the end game begins at 70. The real game starts at 70. I've never been one to believe that leveling is a real game. No. I prefer the Guild Wars way of doing it. Do the leveling once, experience the content, and then you can have yourself a level 20 and go and do the real stuff, which is the stuff at level 20. The PvP, and the small amount of endgame bosses they have, and all that kind of stuff. That's where the real meat of the game is. Leveling up is something that RPGs just have to have. Yeah? So in something like D&D, that's fine, because the experience of leveling up is what's important. It's the role-playing. It's exploring these different areas. The problem with MMORPGs is that people seem to have lost, and to some degree justifiably, the will to explore. The only game recently that I've actually had any will to explore in whatsoever, aside from X3 Reunion, was Oblivion. And some people don't like Oblivion, and that's fine. If it's not your kind of game, cool. But I felt that Oblivion always had something to find. There were benefits to exploring the world and actually straying off of the beaten track. And if you mod it, even more benefits available. Exploring these areas was a genuine pleasure, and it was part of the game. If I leveled up in the process, then that was great. The problem with MMOs is, of course, the leveling up becomes too centric to people, and that's understandable, because the bar is there, you see your XP bar, it's like, yeah, I've got to get this much XP to get to the next level. Otherwise, I can't go and take this content, this content, this content. And Oblivion worked differently. It scaled things. I didn't necessarily like that, because, in my opinion, it made the game too easy, but, again, that's not the point. The point is that it rewarded exploration and going off the beaten track. MMOs, generally speaking, although I heard Lord of the Rings Online does a little bit of it, do not reward people for doing that. They reward people for going through quests, grinding the XP, and reaching the highest level. That has been the purpose of them for quite some time. Whether or not you believe that's wrong doesn't really make much of a difference, to be brutally honest. So, where am I going with this? That's your question. The leveling up, the grinding, the content, it's always been the endgame. MMOs, as far as I'm concerned, have always been about the endgame. What is that when I hit maximum level? I am now this epic hero. I started ages ago as an arena apprentice with a cardboard sword, and now I am level 70 wearing epics. What can I do? There's your finite cap. That's where your first game ends and your second game begins. When you hit that cap, it's what I said earlier. You always have to have something ahead of you. When you're leveling up, the thing ahead of you is very, very clear. It's the next level. That's what's ahead of you. Now, when that finishes, you need the content to be there, no matter what that content might be. So endgame is vitally, vitally important to keeping your subscriber base happy. Setting up raids and just basically leaving them, well, that's very nice content, because it's stuff that you can't access immediately. Yeah, it might be linear. It might be dragging people by the nose through things that they do not necessarily want to do. But that's not, again, necessarily a bad thing. There's got to be something there, and it can't all be immediately accessible, because otherwise people are going to crack through it way too fast. Go back to the Oblivion example. People complained that they could beat the entire game at like level 1 or 2. Yeah, you could. Now that's pointless. I would like to level up and actually have it be a challenge and see all these big creatures and feel like I've done something worthwhile. I feel silly running around with a rusty iron warhammer being able to kill everything in the game. That's just silly. So even if there's this stuff all the way far ahead in the future that's going to take me ages to get to, I would still like it to be there. I prefer it was there than not. So adding new raid content. It's been a basis for WoW for ages. It's kept people playing. Obviously it works. It's a good formula. Why mess with it? As long as it's good raid content. So now, of course, we have Hayal, which I suppose you could technically say was there in the first place. Yeah, right. But you've also got Black Temple. So it's all there, yeah? Now, what else have we got? We've got this casual content. This, what I'm calling the mini Silithus. A few weeks ago, I brought out a concept called the Silithus equation. It's the idea of taking zones and making them fully functional interactive quest hubs. Silithus was one of the best examples of that. So much to do in Silithus. These take some of the principles outlined in Silithus, like the way the rep grinds work, and the way the content works, and allying yourself with a faction, and seeing significant benefits, aside from a moving bar, to getting through areas in that faction. Getting access to stuff that's tougher. Very much progressive content. Always a good thing. All of the Sketis stuff, all of this Ogre whatever it is, Ogre stuff, and the Ethereum Prison. Very promising content. I like the look of it. I really cannot pick fault with the fact that that content is there, and I don't believe anyone else can. Although I've seen people try. You can't put that there, that means you've ruined the farming spot. Well, whatever. Yeah. I'd rather have something meaningful and constantly respawning elementals. I'm sorry, but that is not fun. We are past the Space Invaders stage of needing to constantly kill identical things over and over and over again for pleasure. So I'm very, very pleased with the fact that that content is there. New PvP arena. That's a nice addition. I was kind of getting bored of the other two. I did. Just throwing all of this stuff at people. It's like, hey, look, there's loads of stuff to do. I'm also a fan of releasing it all at once, because I do sometimes like to be held back a little bit in awe and wondering what am I going to do next. It's not so much going off the beaten track, but being given multiple tracks down which you can walk. Each one has a nice thing at the end of it, and there's various crossovers where you can cross over to the other one. You can try out these multiple different tracks of things. It's a very promising thing. And while some people may feel a little bit lost, again, go back to the Oblivion example. If you stand in the middle of Oblivion, it's like, right, okay, I can follow the main quest, there's all this other stuff I can do. That's not a bad thing. That feeling of, wow, such a world. What wonders await me? What the hell is wrong with that, exactly? Nothing. It's great. It's been a long time, since I've genuinely said that I am incredibly impressed with what Blizzard have done. I have had some fears, at least for not the life expectancy of the game, but the quality of the game, the caliber of the game. But I've got to put my weight, and my strength, and my voice behind 2.1.0. I'm being positive for once. Despite the fact that my guild has fallen apart, I'm unable to raid, and I'm not even playing that much as a result. I'm genuinely impressed with what they've done. From what I've seen of it, it looks fantastic. From what I've heard of it, it sounds fantastic. And by God do I intend to go and do it. It's there for me to do. It's my choice to do it, and I will choose to. And for once, I'm giving Blizzard a firm and hearty thumbs up. Congratulations. You've done your job. Of course, it's not all roses and kittens and happiness, but we've got a couple more shows to cover that. It's shout-out time, folks. With shout-outs to me. WCRadio.com. Click the IRC chat button on the top of the screen, or the Murloc@gmail.com. Email me, PM me, get your shout-outs to me. You've got 2 minutes 30. 2 minutes 30. To get your shout-outs into me. So please do so. Remember to email Second Wind. Second Wind for next week. Maker or Breaker, patch 2.1.0. That'll be covered in next week's show. So come on, send them all my way and let's get some shout-outs. And a shout-out to brownies with strawberry custard and for the chocolatey snacks from Toasterbot. I'd like some brownies with strawberry custard, I really would. That would actually be quite nice. So yeah, I'm impressed. What can I say? I've got to give a special shout-out to Palehoof for actually sending in that fantastic information. I was very impressed with it. It was very nicely done. So a very special shout-out to Palehoof. I'd also like to give out a shout-out to the guys at Pound Wow Arena. Now, these guys have been trying to organise, effectively, a battle group in which PvP is thriving. It's a project, and it's called Project Improving the EU Arena Community. And basically, they've got loads of teams to migrate to this battle group, and they've created a thriving PvP, arena, and battle group and battleground community. I'd like to give a very special shout-out to everyone involved in that. It's on QuakeNet, pound or hash wow-arena. I'll get my IRC monkey to post the link to their thread. It's the Arena and Battle Group project, so go check it out. Now, more shout-outs. Vaska says, to myself, because I'm going to fail my uni exams and I played WoW instead of revising. Oh, you big fail. Vaska made a fail. Shout out to the Ancients on Ice Crown US from Hulamanissa, whoever that might be. To the Uru community at MistOnline.com. They rock fantastic game, adventure MMOs for the win. Mist gave me a headache. Silly puzzles like, do this puzzle, something happens somewhere on the island. Shout out to everyone that is raiding tonight. Good luck, guys. Go kick some mob rear. For TB, infusing him with the spirit to make a special StarCraft 2 guys. No! No StarCraft 2! No! This is WoW Radio! This is madness! And shout out to Denshin and Team Lazura. StarCraft. More StarCraft! Get it away from me. Shout out to TV for having the biggest balls I've seen in ages for calling out things as he sees them. It's not that difficult. I'm hiding behind my internet radio anonymity. Despite the fact that I post my address and everything. I'd like a shout out to my friend Mackie for finally ordering a new computer and scrapping his old computer with ME. Ugh. That's from Kohack. Congratulations for getting rid of something blatantly out of date. A shout out to Laprak on Veclanash on Puffin. Hey, I have a shout out to Frostshock, the Hungarian WoW blog, and Zulok. Have a great weekend. And to you, that's from Doe. Congrats to Will Hunting, Shandrix, and Thantor for getting their Atieshes this weekend. Wow, Atiesh. People are still getting that. That's great. A shout out to a Horde Day's Night. That's a really good guild name. On Misha US for getting to Curator. Well done. Very fun fight. Shout out to Dementia and Lisa on Airy Peak for running Rampart so many times so I could get my staff, and I am pretty much done, I'm afraid. Those who missed the WoW Arena post, I will post it in my forum. WCRadio.com, click the forums button on the top of the screen. Go to Blue Please, you'll find it there. You'll also find the Pale Hoof email and anything else I feel should be posted. Check out the rest of our shows, WCRadio.com. Coming up right after this, Sawtell and Hordak versus the World. Remember, WoW Radio is operated entirely on your donations and a nice sponsorship from Tenacious Games. Even a couple of dollars does help. Click the donate button. Help us out. We love you for it. This has been Blue Please. I've been Total Biscuit. Coming right next, Sawtell and Hordak versus the World. Good night.